Welcome to this explainer. Today we are diving deep, and I mean really deep, into a topic that absolutely defines your success in the Cambridge AS and A-Level Accounting 9706 syllabus. We're talking about the double entry system and the accounting equation. Now, to help us break this down and see exactly where thousands of students are dropping unnecessary marks, I'm going to introduce you to two archetypal scholars. We'll call them Alex and Sam. Throughout this masterclass, we are going to follow their journey through a highly complex, high-stakes exam scenario to uncover the exact cognitive strategies that lead to those elite top-tier grades. So grab your notes, get focused, and let's dive straight into this. Look at this quote we pulled straight from the core source material. Mastering double entry system and accounting equation is essential. This topic appears in every examination series. Think about that for a second. You simply cannot hide from this topic. It is the absolute bedrock of the entire syllabus. If you don't have this locked down, the rest of the paper falls apart. But here is the secret we are going to unlock today, something I call the exclusive method mark strategy. You see, examiners aren't just scanning the bottom of your page for a magical final numerical answer. They use a highly specific strategy to award points for your process, your logic, and your clear working. It is an absolute game changer once you understand how to trigger those marks. Let's map out exactly how we're going to conquer this today. All right, here is our masterclass roadmap. First up, we're going inside the examiner's mind to understand the psychological framework of grading. Second, we'll anchor down the core accounting principles. Third, we are going to unveil the standardized methodology, a system to tackle terrifyingly complex data. Fourth, we'll review the top 3 examiner warnings straight from the principal examiner reports. And finally, we'll tackle mastering evaluative thinking, which is the ultimate key to those top grade boundaries.
Okay, let's kick things off with Section 1, Inside the Examiner's Mind and the Core Principles.
Now this right here, this framework is what truly separates average candidates from elite scholars. It is not just about what accounting rules you happen to have memorized. It's about how your brain processes, structures, and applies that information under intense exam pressure. Our sources explicitly state that the assessment objectives target 3 very distinct cognitive domains. Step 1 is knowledge and understanding, Step 2 is analysis, and Step 3 is evaluation. The crucial point you have to internalize is that successful candidates demonstrate competence across all 3 of these levels simultaneously. Top-performing students don't just regurgitate textbook formulas, they show a deeply connected conceptual understanding that they can easily transfer to totally unfamiliar, messy business contexts. If you only memorize, you are going to hit a brick wall at Step 1. You absolutely have to move past simply stating what a ledger is. You have to analyze why a specific entry was made in the context of the scenario, and then evaluate its ultimate impact on the business's overall financial health. That is how you get the marks.
Moving on to Section 2, the Peer Deconstruction Debate.
Let's look at how our 2 hypothetical scholars approach a really demanding high-tariff problem, say a 15-mark essay question. Alex is incredibly technical. Alex is the kind of student who strongly favors factual formulas, rigid rules, and perfect arithmetic. Sam, on the other hand, is a creative thinker who naturally leans toward broad conceptual arguments and the bigger picture. This dynamic brilliantly illustrates a massive trap many candidates fall into when they lay out their long-form answers. Take a look at the contrast here. On one side, we have Alex's natural approach, superficial breadth. This is the rote memorization of rules. Alex might know the accounting equation perfectly, writing out pages of facts, but completely fails to apply those rules deeply to the specific business scenario provided. On the other side, we have what the strict academic benchmarks actually require, analytical depth. This means logical, highly structured reasoning. Listen to me on this. As an examiner assessing your work, I'm looking for analytical depth over superficial breadth every single time. To unlock those top-tier assessment objectives, you can't just dump facts. You need Sam's high-level conceptual reasoning layered directly on top of Alex's technical factual precision. That combination is your golden ticket. So that leads us to a really vital, practical question. How do candidates actually extract data from a chaotic exam paper to draw concrete, evidence-based conclusions? The syllabus is incredibly demanding here, guys. It requires you to interpret complex, poorly organized texts, extract data seamlessly from multi-layered tables, logically map out the relationships between different accounts, and then use that highly specific information as hard evidence. You cannot just guess. You cannot speak in vague generalities about improving liquidity. You must build your argument using the exact, precise data provided in that specific paper.
Which brings us perfectly to Section 3, the Standardized Methodology.
Now, I want you to imagine our scholars, Alex and Sam, are in the middle of a mock exam. They've just hit a massive formatting roadblock while trying to process some incredibly tangled double-entry data. They're totally stuck, they're arguing over how to structure the paragraph, and the clock is relentlessly ticking down. But before I step in and give them the exact methodology to get unstuck, a quick reminder that strategy is literally everything in Cambridge exams. Make sure to follow Ace the Exam's IGCS O and A levels at the handle @acetheexam_IGCS, so you never miss a weekly Cambridge breakthrough strategy that could elevate your grade boundary. All right, let's get Alex and Sam back on track with a foolproof step-by-step system.
Here it is. This is the mandatory 5-step systematic sequence you must use for processing accounting data when you feel overwhelmed. Step 1. Identify the key elements from the text. Use your highlighter, isolate the command word, and find the constraints. Step 2. Apply the relevant accounting principles specifically to those elements. Don't write down everything you know, only what's relevant. Step 3. Execute your analysis with crystal clear working. Step 4. Verify your results. Does the fundamental accounting equation still balance? Step 5. Present the final answer in the exact format requested. By rigorously following this exact sequence every single time, you instantly cut through the panic and confusion. You end up structuring your response exactly how the examiner expects to see it. This keeps you perfectly paced and ensures you aren't leaving any crucial analytical steps, and therefore marks, on the table.
Notice how this highly systematic approach ties directly back into that method mark strategy we talked about earlier. Examiners award heavy marks for the process and for clear working. Think about it. If Alex and Sam rewrite their flawed response out loud, paragraph by paragraph, using those 5 steps, their internal logic becomes completely transparent on the exam paper. Even if they make a tiny, silly arithmetic mistake right at the very end under time pressure, they still secure the vast majority of the available points because the examiner can clearly see their correct methodological process. The ultimate lesson here: never, ever hide your working. Make your thought process visible.
Let's move to Section 4, Pause and Practice. We are going to look at the top 3 examiner warnings. I want you to treat this next segment like an immersive, real-time workshop. When we systematically dissect poorly written student answers, we consistently see candidates triggering the same 3 fatal warnings, straight from the principal examiner reports year after year. Number 1, answers are way too vague. Examiners despise generalities. They want specific details tied directly to the numbers in the exhibit. Number 2, failure to check strict formatting conventions. Proper headings, appropriate account formats, clear annotations, these are not optional aesthetic choices. They are strict, mandatory conventions. And number 3, answers are not specific to the provided context. If the source data is about a struggling retail business with obsolete inventory, your analysis must reflect that specific retail scenario, not just a generic copy-pasted textbook definition of inventory valuation. And look at this warning. This is a massive, flashing red light from the reports. Examiner alert. Candidates consistently confuse key terminology. Think about how mathematically and psychologically damaging this is in an exam. If you misuse professional accounting terminology when discussing the double entry system, like confusing a provision with a reserve or capital expenditure with revenue expenditure, the examiner immediately questions your fundamental knowledge. You lose academic credibility instantly, and it severely limits your ability to access the higher-level analysis marks later in the question.
So, how do we completely eliminate this risk? You must adopt the terminology rule. Always explicitly define key accounting terms before using them in your extended responses. Actually, scratch that. Don't just define them. Define them clearly and concisely right at the start of your paragraph. If our highly technical scholar Alex corrects his structural flaws by simply defining his terms up front, he immediately secures vital, easy baseline knowledge marks. It proves competence and sets a professional tone to the examiner before he even begins his deep mathematical analysis. It's an easy win that so many students overlook.
Now for the final hurdle, Section 5, Mastering Evaluative Thinking and Critical Analysis.
This is the metric required to unlock the absolute highest scores in the Cambridge system, and it is the exact segment where our conceptual scholar Sam really thrives. Let's examine the difference here. On one side, we have standard analysis. This merely identifies facts or similarities. Business A has high receivables. Business B has high receivables. Average candidates stop right here, and their marks plateau. On the other side, we have comparative analysis. This is what you need to be doing. It identifies similarities and differences, but it goes much further by using comparative connectives, words like whereas, conversely, or in contrast, and supporting each comparison with hard numerical evidence. Ultimately, you must draw conclusions about the relative importance of these points. This depth is what separates a good candidate from a truly elite one. It's the difference between merely stating both businesses have cash and evaluating why business A's specific cash position makes it fundamentally more resilient to economic shocks than business B. So,
as you are reviewing your own answers, I want you to ask yourself a hard question. Are you questioning the assumptions in the prompt and considering different perspectives? Top-scoring candidates never just act like human calculators, stating facts and moving on. They evaluate, they interrogate the data, they justify every single operational decision or conclusion with concrete evidence pulled straight from the provided text or data tables. If you recommend a course of action, you better be backing it up with the why and the how.
All right, let's bring it all together in Section 6, Strategy Recap and Final Takeaways.
Imagine Alex and Sam looking back at their intense study session today. They have successfully transformed their approach from superficial, unstructured, panicked ideas into a precise, highly evaluative execution framework that absolutely guarantees full marks. Let's lock in exactly what they learned. I want to synthesize this entire masterclass into 3 core, non-negotiable pillars for you. First, the 3-step question scan. The moment you turn the page, always identify the command word, isolate the required knowledge, and hunt down the hidden constraints of the prompt. Second, the paragraph balance formula. Ensure you actively balance knowledge, analysis, and evaluation in every single long response you write. Don't let one dominate the others. And third, the last 5 minutes review checklist. Verify your formats, check your professional terminology, and ensure your working is crystal clear for the examiner to follow.
Because at the end of the day, strategy is everything. Crushing Cambridge exams isn't just about studying harder. It requires consistent practice, rigorous methodology, and the ability to think exactly like the examiner who is grading your paper. If you want to keep elevating your skills and mastering these exact frameworks, make sure to hit that subscribe button for @acetheexam_IGCSE and turn on notifications to catch all future exam hacks and structural strategies. So I want to know, what is your target grade, and are you fully ready to apply these steps to take your analysis to the next level? Drop it in the comments, start implementing this framework today, and I promise you will see a massive difference in your very next paper. Keep working hard, and I'll see you in the next session.